Okay, so episode 286 in the books, and this was an interesting one. I had no idea what was coming. So joined the podcast thinking I was having another podcast with the crew, my friends, the group that we went through COVID together with, and it became Marcel, this is your life. And so I hope you enjoy it. You'll find out my life was probably pretty boring, but they cornered me and said they wanted to do a podcast about me. And it was hilarious. It was good fun, good friends, and I truly hope you like it. Thank you for joining me today for Geezers of Gear special New Year's Eve podcast, episode number 286. This episode is brought to you by Mainlight, your go-to dry hire rental provider, bringing you the latest in lighting and stage equipment. From moving lights and control consoles to truss LEDs and rugged IP65 rated fixtures built for outdoor venues, they have everything you need to make your production shine. Whether it be a small theater venue, an outdoor stadium event, or a TV production set, Mainlight is the partner you trust with the gear you want. In addition to rentals, Mainlight offer new equipment sales from all of your favorite brands, as well as used sales on equipment pulled directly from their rental inventory. All used equipment is meticulously maintained and backed by a 60-day depot warranty, ensuring you have confidence in every purchase. With 4 strategically located facilities in Teterboro, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Nashville, Tennessee, and Las Vegas, Nevada, you get the reach of a national company with the personalized service of a local provider. Visit mainlight.com today to explore their rental options or request a direct quote through their easy-to-use online ordering platform. Today's episode number 286 is also brought to you by ACT Entertainment, North America's leading supplier of the entertainment industry's principal products to professionals across 6 different end markets, including professional lighting fixtures and lighting control equipment, audio, video, fiber, and power distribution, cables, connectivity, metalwork, custom manufacturing, and design. With ACT Entertainment, you get the industry's top performance products, as well as service, education, and engineering support to bring every entertainment professional concept to reality. Visit their website, actentertainment.com, today.
Inspire your audience's imagination with Elation's Pulse Strobe Series, designed to bolster creativity and deliver breathtaking kinetic intensity. The Pulse Series empowers designers to create dynamic lighting experiences that captivate any audience. The Pulse Series synthesizes mesmerizing lighting experiences with power and precision, allowing designers to create rhythmic, heart-pounding lighting effects with effortless control. Elation's Pulse Series.
Episode number 286 is also brought to you by Ultimate Support Systems, a part of ACT Entertainment. For over 45 years, Ultimate Support has provided musicians with unique support solutions that are crafted with unparalleled innovation and quality. Ultimate Support has always been determined to invent, design, and manufacture the smartest support solutions and music accessories in the industry. And that commitment to innovation continues to this day. Be sure to visit ultimatesupport.com, where you can learn all about their solutions for content creators, touring musicians, recording studios, and more. From acoustic treatment to best-in-class speaker stands, Ultimate Support has premium accessories that you can count on.
AVL Media Group is an award-winning distribution company that has been established for over 25 years as a trusted brand in the professional audio, video, and lighting markets. Our new state-of-the-art facility includes a beautiful showroom space that is available for demonstrations, training, and special events. This grants us the opportunity to share our knowledge and provide a unique hands-on experience to all our clients. Our large warehouse facilities, both in Canada and the US, allow us to keep a vast inventory of all the brands we distribute. We can get you what you need when you need it. Our first-class team of industry professionals is focused on delivering outstanding pre- and post-sale service and support to all our clients, ensuring mutually successful partnerships and long-term growth. AVL Media Group, your premier North American distribution partner.
And today's podcast is also brought to you by GearSource. Founded in 2002 with an ambitious mission to support live event businesses buy and sell gear globally. Since that time, the company's transacted in more than 100 countries, selling more than $250 million in sound, lighting, staging, and video gear. GearSource continues to evolve the platform for massive global growth, enabling localized currencies, payments held in escrow to protect buyers and sellers, AI-powered logistics behind a new global logistics brand, and much more. The company has just released massive new features, including GearSync, with the ability to manage up to 400 listings at once, plus NeedZone, an automated shopping assistant for hard-to-find items. Take full control over your gear with a visit to gearsource.com today. Episode 286. So today is a fun one. They all are, of course, but today's an extra special fun one. It has been one heck of a year. Where do you start? I mean, the politics of it all, of course, but our industry alone has just been, it's been a bit of a batshit crazy year this year in 2024. So yeah, I mean, I, for one, enjoy every year. So I'm glad I went through it. I don't see it as having been a terrible year by any stretch. Was it perfect? No. Were there challenges? Yes. But isn't that what life is kind of about? Isn't it? Isn't it the journey, not the destination? That's how I believe, anyways. And unless every day is paradise, I guess that's how we have to look at it, right? Every day is part of the journey, whether it's a challenge or something just fell in your lap or whatever it is, but it's worth living. It's worth going through those challenges. It's a lot of fun finding the solutions and getting through the other end of them, etc. So I, for one, really enjoyed 2024. Did I make as much money as I would have liked? Hell no. Did everyone I know survive 2024? No, I lost a lot of friends this year, and that's tragic. I hate it. And guess what? I'm probably going to lose a lot more in 2025. I hope I'm not one of them. So, that's just life. And so for me, 2024 was a great year. I'm really super looking forward to next year. I think it's going to be amazing for our industry. I think it's going to be good for the world. I firmly believe some of the problems that we've been dealing with are going to resolve themselves. And so I'm hopeful. And one thing I want to mention is last night, I was watching the Canada Germany hockey game. If you don't watch junior hockey every year at this time, what's wrong with you? It's one of the things that I so look forward to for this week between Christmas and New Year's is the junior championship that happens every year. And it's just incredible hockey. Like a lot of these players who are playing, especially on some of the main teams, Canada, US, Sweden, Finland, but now even like Latvia, and used to be Russia, of course. Right now, that's a bit of a problem. Czech is usually pretty good. But a lot of these players, like in the next year or two, are going to be making $20 million a year or more. And it's really cool to see them in this junior championship because they are working their butts off, and it's not for money. It's not necessarily for fame. It's because they want to win on behalf of their country. It's similar to the Olympics, but in a little sort of mini cosm. So anyways, I was sitting watching that and, of course, scrolling through social media, and a message came in from someone on Geezes of Gear who was reaching out to me. Just basically, first of all, he brought to me an AI thing that was an interesting AI app Actually, it wasn't that interesting to me, but because it was basically just a guy standing there saying, okay, channel 7 through 9, add, 5 dB, and you'd see the faders go up. Well, to me, that's just voice to text, basically. Like, that's nothing too revolutionary. If he said, make the room warmer, make this room sound like, Hammersmith Odeon Ballroom in London, that would be impressive. And that's coming. I believe that's coming fairly soon. But just to say channel 7, up by 5 dB or whatever, that to me isn't that impressive. But anyways, we got into a little conversation, and he was a young guy, works for a sound company, was actually out with Elton John on this last tour, and was so incredibly grateful to me and to Sarah and to Geezers of Gear just for what we've created and what we're doing, in his words, for the young people in the industry. And please keep up the great work. I listen to it on the train every day on my way to the shop. And so, yeah, loved hearing it. Thank you for sending that message. It really made my night. And then, of course, Canada won, which further made my night, which, was the big one, actually. But this message and this conversation with this young gentleman was amazing, and I love it. I love to hear that we've made a difference, even a tiny little difference in somebody's life. Because at the end of the day, we're not doing this to get rich. Obviously, we're doing it because we love doing it, and we love helping to share these stories and bring these stories from these incredible people to you. So today's podcast, having said that it's been a heck of a year, why not end the year with some of my favorite humans? This is a group of guys that I used to call the COVID crew, and now let's just call them the crew. And unfortunately, one of them is missing this year. So it's 4/5 of what used to be the COVID crew and is now going to be called the crew, I guess. So this is a very special New Year's episode with my good friends, John Featherstone, John Wiseman, Eric Loader, and we will be missing Ben Saltzman, who is on a beach in the Caribbean right now. So I don't know who's making better choices, me or him. I think him. We've recorded a bunch of podcasts over the years, me and these gentlemen, plus Ben, of course. And, Sarah, our producer, thought it would be a great idea to kind of catch up and do a New Year's special and just talk about sort of what's behind us, what's ahead of us, what everyone thinks about where we're at right now. And, of course, we're going to be missing Ben. There I am mentioning him for the 4th time already. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to recapping on what I thought was a pretty decent 2024, but what the industry, I think, it has mixed opinions on, and I'm looking forward to hearing those. And also just really, what are some plans and thoughts, and what do you think 2025? I want to hear some predictions from these guys as well. I'm going to hold their feet to the fire and ask them some tough questions. So yeah, anyways, looking forward to it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I intend to enjoy the next hour and a half, probably. And here they are. The crew. John, you and I don't have the cool, what's that MSNBC woman that Mark Cuban copied her glasses? Rachel Maddow glasses. Yeah.
Oh, the MSNBC girl. That's Mark Cuban.
Ah.
Ooh, we'll get you all set up with glasses, Marcel.
Starting with a thud. Yeah. I had a pair with the black rims that were what's the fancy LA brand? Crumb Hearts. I still have them. It's just they're 3 prescriptions ago.
It is truly astonishing how much you can spend on a pair of glasses.
So the worst one I ever did, well, it's not the worst one, but I bought a pair of Prada prescription sunglasses. So imagine what those cost. And so, I don't know, $1,500, $1,700, something like that, right? They were sitting in my driveway at my old house in my truck.
In your driveway.
In my truck.
That doesn't start well.
Right. Sitting in my driveway in my truck. And so I go outside to find something in my truck. I think was a while ago. So it was like my iPod or something that I tried to find in my truck. And I couldn't find it. And I'm like, what the hell is the deal here? Did you just hit record, Eric?
Yeah.
Are you recording a secondary podcast here?
Yeah, because I know your podcasts don't hold up, so they crash a lot.
What? Well, those are fighting words.
They crash a lot. Crash a lot.
so I'm like, what the hell? And then I'm like, I wonder if somebody broke into my truck. So I go and I watch the security video. Sure enough, 3 kids go into the driveway, and it was like Christmas time. So they tried all the cars in the driveway.
the
My
hell?
in-laws' car was locked. My ex-wife's car was locked. Mine, of course, was unlocked. And so all they took was my iPod and these, $1,600 or $1,700
which they
Prada
couldn't use.
sunglasses that were worth like $50 to them, if anything, right? Like they were worth nothing to them. They probably threw them
prescription
away.
lenses in, right? So they're not worth
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, so they probably
they'd
put them
be-
on
they'd-
and went,
they'd-
these suck, and threw them out.
They'd be easy to find. You just look for the kids that are wearing glasses that look lost.
Bumping into walls and
I
stuff.
can't see
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Well, I can't see anything.
Well, so I was at a Christmas party like the next day or 2 days later or something. And I said, yeah, somebody friggin' broke into my car and stole shit. And somebody goes, oh, yeah, I was just talking to Bob. Hang on, Bob, come here. Oh, yeah, me too. So we figured out which direction they went from my security camera to his security camera to the next security camera. Like we knew exactly every house they hit. and
I
stuff,
thought
right?
you were going to say they introduced you to somebody at the party and they were wearing your glasses.
glasses.
Oh,
That's
that
what I
would've
was
been
waiting
amazing.
for.
That's a way better story. Unfortunately, my
That would've been
stories
better.
never end like that, where I get my glasses back. Like, usually they were on the hood of my car, and I stopped at a red light, and they flew off, and then got run over. Like that's how my stories usually end. Right. So I have to announce that Mr. Saltzman is not with us because he's on a beach in Aruba.
Good for him.
Bless.
Good.
So how bad do all of us feel?
Not as
Ah,
well even
as
though.
you do,
Happy
as you
for
do.
him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him too. He deserves it. He's had
Yeah.
a hectic year.
One of us is making good decisions.
Yes.
The rest of us, shame on us. John,
Well, fun fact. So if you leave these in your car in Vegas, these Meta glasses at 120 degrees, they won't survive. Just so you know.
Is that the voice of experience?
Yes.
What
Is
are
this
they
your-
called? Meta glasses?
The Meta glasses, these are the Zuckerberg, the Ray-Ban, the Ray-Bans, but they have the camera and they have the speakers in the frames, which you can listen to music and stuff. It's kind of cool. I use it a lot for that. But
so you're being specially tracked by Facebook.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
and
And
Instagram,
by
right?
I got
association-
nothing to hide. I got
Do
nothing
you
to
mind?
hide.
Do you mind if I ask why the fuck would you have those on?
How did I know that question was coming? Oh God,
It's
Why?
a long story. It's a long
Okay.
story.
All right.
because you're being tracked.
Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just read, because you guys know I'm an idiot and I read AI stuff constantly, but I read this morning that Meta are introducing AI bots to have conversations with people on Facebook and Instagram to increase the engagement and increase the ad value and all of this stuff. So they're going to basically make all of us have these stupid conversations with these
With
AI
nobody.
bots.
Can't
Yeah.
wait.
Well, and I mean, the next step, of course, is going to make the bot a hot chick so that we'll actually talk to her.
I think they're doing
right?
that already.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're these virtual companions already.
You mean she doesn't really love me?
You mean
Yeah.
that's not who I'm talking to?
Yeah. Like, she lied to me. She said she liked me.
Well, that we'll not even go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
I've-
let's kick this thing off.
We did. It's
we are.
kicked.
Is this it?
We
Okay.
did.
This is it. It doesn't get any better, John. The rest is all up to you.
Oh, Marcel, it's going to get
You were
better.
going to do some big formal introduction, Marcel.
Oh, well, to my immediate left, which is probably your up above or something, that's John Wiseman right there. And then down there is John Featherstone.
Yeah.
And down there is Eric Loader. And Ben Salzman is on a beach in Aruba.
Okay,
So we're-
introduction's done.
We're missing him. Yeah, I think everyone by this time kind of knows who you guys are. And
Right.
I don't know that many introductions are necessary.
Sadly, yes.
By the way, Wiseman, before I forget to ask you this, and it's a terrible, terrible question, and depending on how the answer goes, we might edit it out.
Okay.
But Pat Morrow, is he okay?
Oh, yeah, he's doing great. Talked to him the
Okay.
other day. Yeah.
I've reached out to him a couple times because I've got a guy desperately reaching out to try and get in contact with him, and it's like a childhood friend. I checked him out. He's
Send
not
the guy
critter or
to
anything.
me. I engage with Pat on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
He is he's not tied to his phones like we are.
Yeah. No, but he
I have
emailed
jealousy
me all
for
the
that.
time. He used to go, oh, yeah, I remembered another story, and he'd send me an email. And he was very engaged on email. Now he's not anymore. So
Yeah, he's I talk to Pat a couple times a month,
yeah.
He
he's
was
such
he
a
was
cool dude.
he was absolutely instrumental in the early stages of my career, and the early traction and successes that I was able to have completely randomly. He was there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did 2 podcasts with him. It was actually 1, but it just got so long and there was so much going on that it became 2, because I could hear Eric Loader in my ear going, "It's too long, Marcel." My special meta glasses only have
you get a little countdown going.
Well, Pat started out. Pat has a degree in sculpture from I think it's NYU. So he's a truly an artist, right? And his father was Nelson Rockefeller's chief of staff.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a cool job.
Well, Pat grew up in when the governor's license plate says number 1 and the lieutenant governor's license plate says number 2 and your dad says number 3 and you could park that car anywhere you want in New York and nobody messes with it.
That's wild.
He grew up with that. Yeah. So Pat, and then Pat's brother went on to be, Pat's brother was just retired, I think, this week. He was the editor of Time magazine. His sister is like a brain surgeon. Pat ends up sweeping the rehearsal studio in SIR San Francisco and meets Carlos Santana and Neil Schon and Herbie Herbert and segued,
was lured in.
Yeah, exactly.
Pulled into this business, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Hey, so Marcel, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How do you pick who you have as your featured person on Geezers? How do you curate who it is?
Well, a lot of times they come to us. So usually it's someone comes to us and then we have a bit of a vetting that goes on that really, it's a pretty low bar. Are you interesting? Are you interesting?
Hence your crowd today.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say present company included.
Yes. Yeah. But really it's just, are they interesting? Because I've actually had some yes, sir, no, sir interviews that went horribly wrong. And
I know that wasn't me.
I don't
kidding.
I don't like doing interviews. I like having conversations, and so I'll start the interview asking some questions just to wind somebody up and get them talking. John, that usually is a fairly short process, but then you kind of want them to start bringing stories and stuff.
Right.
You don't want it to become a question answer kind of
thing. I was talking to my 2 good friends, and we think you've missed somebody really important in our industry.
Oh, I've missed thousands of important.
Really, really.
You know
really
why, John? Because I've never toured. Right. So everybody comes to me by referral because I don't know that many people.
By the way, housekeeping real quick. Before you go on, you can't call him John and me John because I wonder who the fuck you're talking to.
Well,
we'll both assume it's us, Wiseman, because that's how we're wired.
Well, of course, exactly.
I got a 50% shot of hitting
Featherstone
something.
and Wiseman. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
rude to me to call
this is
you by your
important,
last.
Marcel. Shush up.
Yeah. So we think you've missed somebody really important in the industry that we want to shine a light on, and it's you. So. You think this is about interviewing us?
Oh, if this is a lynching, fuck
we
you.
It's a hijacking.
It 100%. It's a hijacking.
It's a hijacking.
We are 3 pirates.
Roast, lynching.
For God's sake, Sarah's dead.
No, please don't, because she was like, Marcel's gonna kill me. But we think you've shone a light on a ton of really important people in this industry, Marcel. And today we would love to introduce people to a bit more of you and your backstory, because you've got a hell of a backstory and you've continued to give and give and give to people time and time again. And we just the 3 of us wanted to shine a light on you.
Yep.
We were talking about doing it for the 300th episode, but we figured you'd smell a rat. So, so this is the seemingly random 286th episode, and I'm going to tee you up in the way that you usually tee us up. So for anybody that doesn't know Marcel spent more than 30 years in the event industry. Marcel founded GearSource in 2002 with a single goal: to make it safer and easier for businesses to buy and sell gear globally. Since its founding, GearSource has moved $250 million. I'm going to say that again: $250 million in sound, lighting, video, and staging equipment around the world. Today, Marcel, along with his global team, are focused on ramping up growth. Marcel says, I love this industry and I'm focused on growing Gear Source to help even more people while democratizing access to gear for your markets and markets for your gear. Marcel says he has this crazy disease that he keeps getting these ideas he has a burning desire to pursue, and that keeps him busy and restless as well in a good way. Marcel is a visionary entrepreneur by every definition. Several times in his life, Marcel has put everything on the line to prove his methods. With each business, he's carefully surrounded himself with teams of great people and led them each day in new frontiers. He continues growing and welcomes new opportunities for passion. For 6 years, Marcel has been the creator, producer, and host of Geezers and Gear, which is now joined by its sister podcast, Leading Ladies. Geezers was a literal lifeline for so many of us, me included, and John and Eric, I know you as well, over the pandemic. And so industry pioneers and friends get together once a week for a happy hour that was so important. There have been 285 episodes today, which is nearly 2 weeks of content if you played it 24 hours a day, talking about anything and everything with incredible people. Geezers of Gear is never boring, and there are always surprises as well. Today's surprise is our guest is Marcel Fairbairn, my friend, my mentor, my ally, and my advocate, Marcel.
Jesus. What the
Yeah,
heck, you guys?
you've been kidnapped.
I've been
There's been a lot of emails going back and forth about this over the last couple of months now.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked we were able to keep the cat in the bag.
I almost blew it once.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember what I did this morning, so I was in no danger of blowing it.
You guys are hilarious.
Yeah. So we're honoring you today, Marcel, and we want, you are an interesting man. And when, we have no doubt there will not be yes and no questions from you. So, we've got a little bit of a format here laid out, thanks to John Featherstone and Eric Loader and Sarah. And we've got some old photos that we've put together. And
sure.
Yeah, you're yeah. You know what, Marcel? Not to get all sentimental or schmaltzy, but this is a rough and tumble, bare knuckle business, and it comes down to a lot of tough stuff. But at the end of the day, it's an industry of we're misfits, but we're also innovators, and you are absolutely firmly ensconced in the leadership of this from a lot of different angles, and we want everyone to get to know you a little bit better. So there you go.
Jesus. Nice.
How did it start, Marcel? What was the
Gear Source or like my life?
No, we go way back, brother. How did you get dragged into this business? How did you run away and join the circus? How did you get started? I believe there was a Catholic priest involved.
There actually was a Catholic priest involved, incredibly.
I thought you were joking.
How you knew that one. But there was a Catholic priest involved, not exactly how you might think. I did not have that kind of a problem. But, we went to a church in Calgary, Canada called Holy Trinity Church. And at this church one time, I was 10 or 11 years old at the time. There was an ad on the board, and yes, I could read, and I read that it said, looking for a singer for a rock band. And I had sang in church a couple times and sang in the shower and stuff. And I said, I could do that. And so I said, I want to try out. And they said, okay, well, your tryout is next Saturday morning at 9:00 or whatever. And somehow I got the gig. I became the singer for this band that was called Trail. And so I was like 11 or 12 years old, probably 12 when I got the gig, I guess. And I was getting notes from the priest, who was our manager. The priest was the manager of the band. The priest would write a note saying, Marcel needs to leave school early on Friday for sound check. So I'd be leaving at like 1:00 or whatever to go do sound check. And they'd send a car to pick me up at school, and I'd go to the gig and do my part for sound check and go home, have dinner, get dressed, and do the gig that night.
Oh, that's fun.
And so, just to widen the story a little bit, this band practiced in the basement of a Catholic church, in the basement of Holy Trinity Church. And to pay for that rehearsal space, our manager, the priest, had us do a gig on Saturday nights called the Rock Mass. And this Rock Mass was, his assistant was a German lady, and she translated, this was pre-Stryper, pre-Petra, pre all of these rock, Christian rock bands. And she translated these German rock or German religious rock songs into English, and we kind of changed them up a little bit, and those were the songs that we played during this Rock Mass. So it wasn't like, the hymns from
So like the big churches now that we sold so much gear to, which was such a boon to our industry. I know Eric and you and I, Marcel, were and John was probably designing some of these like Calvary churches that put these big rock shows on. I mean, the church I go to on Sunday, there's a rock band, right? I look at the technology in there. So you were way ahead of the curve.
But Wiseman, they've still got you looking up, so they've got you looking in the right direction.
Yes, they do.
That stuff didn't exist yet. That stuff didn't exist yet. And it was very bizarre. And by the way, we got shut down by the head priest for our area, or whatever he was called. But he shut us down because this was devil's music and blah, blah, blah. And
that would be the cardinal.
There was a huge thing that went on where people signed this, what do you call those things, where everybody
petition.
Right.
Yeah.
Signed a petition to keep us in. And by that time we were like, we're over it anyways. But it was cool because on Saturday nights, instead of the church being relatively empty and just a bunch of old people, it was stacked, and it was standing room only, and it was young kids.
Now, why would they put
a
stop to that? You're drawing in the
stupid.
kids
Stupid, right? Just completely stupid.
It's funny, you're right, though, Wiseman. It's gone full circle.
Marcel was ahead of his time.
Yeah, absolutely. Houses of faith are using those kind of tools and techniques to attract a younger audience to come together. So
and shortly after we got canned out of this gig, our priest manager, Father Michael Brown, he left the priesthood.
Wow.
And he's a ordained Catholic priest, and he just had enough, and he went to run his family construction company.
Wow.
So that was how it got started. From there, I had a very understanding mother who kind of let me do whatever I wanted to. And I don't know that a lot of people know this, but I quit school halfway through the 10th grade. Actually, 3/4 of the way through the 10th grade. My birthday was on June 8th, and school in Canada went to the end of June. And I quit June 8th on my birthday, my 16th birthday, because I wanted to go on the road with a band. And so I got fake ID to play in bars in Canada, went on the road with a bunch of bands. And I did that for a couple of years. And I think I was probably the ripe old age of 18 or 19. And I said, I really wanted a Corvette. Was really what drove me to change my lifestyle. I wanted a Corvette.
Oh, man. That's funny.
And
you gotta have goals.
I grew up sort of in the hood of Calgary, and which is a nice neighborhood in most cities, I guess. And when you saw a Corvette, you went, "Whoa!" If you
that's somebody that's made it.
Oh yeah, like that. I want to be that guy. And for me, it was always that. It wasn't look at that douchebag in the Corvette. It was, oh my god,
it's aspirational, right?
What did he do? I want to do what he does. So I got a gig at a music store. I got off the road with a band, got a gig at a music store in Calgary. And it was a funny music store called Harmony Lane Music, where their big claim to fame was they were the biggest accordion dealer in Western Canada. Electric accordions. Like, these things were $15,000. And
there's an expression in England, Marcel, that the definition of a gentleman is somebody who knows how to play the accordion but does not.
Yeah, I've heard that one. True. It's true.
Well, you know what? The definition of an optimist? A studio trombone player with a beeper.
As Wiseman dates himself with a beeper joke.
Exactly. You all knew what it was.
That's good. But so this.
Well, speaking of dates, what date was this? What year was this when you were at the music store?
Well, I'm 60, so I was 16, so that would have been, by the time I was at the music store, I was 18. So what's that? 80?
We were born in what?
80? 82?
80.
So you're born in like 65?
81, 82. It's around there.
Yeah.
I was born in 64. Yeah. And so, anyways, this music store with the guy who ran it was named Jim Clippert. And he was a fancy electronic accordion player. And these were these Italian accordions that were 15, 16 grand. And he'd bring in farmers from farms far, far away who would come in for special demos to run this thing, to show this thing, right? And so it was his, I think, 50th birthday or something. And I pulled a fast one. I hired a stripper, and I told her,
But was she playing an accordion?
I told her to wear, no, she came in for it. She scheduled a demo for an accordion.
Oh, God.
And
Poor
so
guy thinks he's going to make the sale and it's going to ruin
wearing,
his life.
she's wearing coveralls,
Shit.
wearing coveralls, got her hair up in a knit hat or something. And I told her, here's your cue, because this was always like the second or third song that he played in his demo was Tie a Yellow Ribbon. I said, when he starts playing Tie a Yellow Ribbon, I want you to go, oh my God, this song, it's making me sweat. It's making me so hot and all this stuff. And he just kept going like, tie a yellow ribbon on his accordion, right? While she's stripping in front of him. He has no idea. He's just like, fuck it, I'm going to sell an accordion here, you know?
No. He's if it does sell the accordion, I'm getting a hell of a show.
No, he's also going, I'm going to play the long version.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard the chorus like about
the remix.
47
The
times.
extended version.
Oh, my God, we were dying. But
The
anyway,
Inagata Davida of
so
Tie a
So
Yellow.
then a really cool rock and roll shop called Mainly Music opened up in town, and they recruited me to come over there, and I ended up at this cool rock and roll shop. I ended up opening a location for them in Edmonton and became more of an entrepreneur, and also learned what it was like to be a minority business owner where you were going to get screwed, and I got screwed. And so ultimately I ended up working for a larger chain of music stores in Canada called Axe Music. And Eric, you might know them.
Yep.
And for two brothers named Hollowaychuk, Daryl and Brian Hollowaychuk. And through them, I got introduced to lighting and sound as a business. And I just went, okay, so wait a sec. I sell a guitar for $1,000. I make X amount of dollars. I sell a sound system for $100,000. I make X times 10. You know, this is way better. And so I got into selling sound and lighting, and they were the biggest Martin lighting dealer in Canada. They were probably the only Martin lighting dealer in Canada. And I just went, whoa, these RoboScan things, these are really cool.
This is going to be big.
This was the earliest Martin RoboScan. It was like, other than the really expensive Italian stuff, it was the first sort of available, accessible scanner for a small nightclub or whatever. And so I became very efficient at selling these RoboScans. I sold tons of them and got to know Peter Johansson and Gerard Cohen, who ran the North American distributor for Martin. And a lot of things happened in the middle, but they ultimately offered me a job to come work for them in Miami. And Calgary boy moving to Miami, you know how that might have gone. Yes,
So that's
please.
how you got to Florida.
That's how I got to Florida.
There
was a stop in Chicago on the way.
That's 91. That's
Yeah.
91. So what was the interview like with Gerard?
Well, this
Weird.
ought to be good.
Very, very, very unusual. I mean, I can't remember it exactly, but it was Gerard and Michael Yeheskiel, if you remember him. This crazy Israeli dude. And it was just bizarre. Like, it was bizarre. And as you might expect, I kind of drove it. So I kind of decided the direction it went and what kind of money we were talking about and all kinds of, because they were a little bit lost. They had never really hired someone like me, I guess. Like, at the time, it was the Russian guy. I forget what Alex something or other.
Alex, yeah.
That was the only sales guy for Martin in North America at the time. And so, yeah, I mean, that was my humble beginning. That's really
So there
how
was
it all
no
came together.
Martin sales chain before then. There was no regional guys.
No,
just...
no, there was like one guy and Gerard, and
Wow.
Gerard's wife worked with him. Not long after, his sons both started working with him as well. And yeah, so I started, and I don't know how long in, a few years in, I was at a NAMM show in LA, and I remember when they had moved the lighting downstairs and ran into Eric, who at the moment was, I think nearing his end of American DJ. He was bored of selling, the stuff that they were selling at the time, and he was
mirror balls and pin spots and
rope
dark
light.
ends
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Rope lights. Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah,
right
They
when
were they were starting to do.
automated was breaking open.
They were starting to do some. They were starting to do some basic intelligent lights, but Martin was the brand, up and coming brand back then. And I remember us talking, and
What year was
yeah.
that, Eric?
That's 94.
Okay, so that's
So Marcel
right.
hired me. Marcel hired me to open an office in LA for Trackerman.
Trackerman, I remember that.
Wow.
And at the time, I was working at American DJ, and I was, 22, 23, and it was a great opportunity for me. I didn't, I was treated well there, but move up in the industry, open a branch office, it was a great opportunity. So
yeah.
Marcel and Gerard trusted me, and,
Well,
Tim Edwards was the rep back then.
Let's move
so
to
it was
This
fun.
Is Your Life, Eric.
No,
How's it feel? How's it feel, Marcel?
Let's
How's
move
it
to
feel?
This Is Your Life. Yeah, it's true.
And you were still at Verily then, right?
let's see. I got
94?
no, I left very light, like the very end of 92, 93. I moved to LA in 93, and I had gone out to light and sound design for a short stint with those guys. In 94, I think right when you guys were doing that, I had bought the Comar distributorship for North America.
Right.
So it was down in San Antonio, and so I looked at the Comar thing as, well, this is very unique, very special. It was pretty much the Nat light was the only one I was interested in, and I thought, hey, you know what? So then I bought the San Antonio distributorship and shut it down and moved it to L.A. And Tony Magana and Mike Hansen came with me. So that was right around 94, early 95. And then I decided I sold all that to Obi. And then I went to high end after that, which is where Marcel and I really first crossed paths. I knew who Marcel was.
Yeah,
I think he
likewise.
probably knew who I was. And
Wiseman, everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, you were notorious already.
Yeah. And that's so Marcel and I, I'll wait till we actually started high end on the same day. I didn't know that he was getting hired. I don't think you knew I was.
No, I didn't know either.
Yeah.
No, we just both showed up on the same day, and the whole company knew neither of us was getting hired.
and they were all really pissed off.
Oh God, this place.
And we go into a sales meeting the first day, and they're all just looking at us like, "Are these guys?"
When you want to
spies?
reorganize and shake up a company, that's who you hire.
Yeah,
Right.
Well,
Right.
it was really funny because
The fucking daggers.
We go into this sales meeting, and everybody's treating us really weird at this point, right? Like we're literally spies. And I don't know if it was Griff or Lowell or somebody made a big speech, and then Tony Magana stands up and he goes, "I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about, but we're guarding the wrong border."
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said.
Because I'm there, right? 'Cause I'm
Canadian, right?
Canadian.
Yeah, and he's Mexican.
Yeah, no, that was
too
a funny. So I'll tell you when that was, because it was the weekend that
It was the
Holyfield Tyson fight when he bit his ear off.
because we were at that big party.
Yeah, we went to a park for a barbecue, and
I
they
remember
had
that.
this huge video screen with the fight on.
I wonder
Yeah,
I'm going to find
was
that
hilarious.
date.
Yeah.
That was sometime in 95, I think it was.
No, it was 97.
later.
Was it later?
97. Yeah,
97.
because I left
Yeah.
Martin in 97.
I've got a
So
few
I
lost
didn't
years.
realize you two both worked at high end at the same time.
We did, yeah.
Identical. That's where I met Marcel. Like,
yeah,
in the
crazy.
in the
we
lobby.
did. We did.
Well,
Actually, you
and-
met me
and-
before that, but you might not remember.
I apologize.
Don't know why, but you met me at the Obi company.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I met you at Obi's.
And thanks to Marcel for leaving Martin, because I took his job.
Yes, you did. Yeah, but you know what, though? In your defense, you and Trolls, God rest his soul,
Trolls has passed away.
you long ago.
Oh, yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But you and Trolls got hold of that company at a very difficult time. And, you had a lot of complications going on. And so, some people blame it just on the Mac 2000 coming out, that the company was so successful. But you guys were very good stewards of the brand and of you know, hiding the fact that you were still selling Mac 500s and 600s, even though you were legally not allowed to. Oh, it was a big secret. Nobody knew.
June 28th, 1997.
Was what? When
That
you
was
started?
that was the Holyfield.
Oh, funny.
I think we were there the day before.
That was like our second day at High End or something.
Yeah.
There were some funny stories. So
Crazy
first,
time.
when I left Martin, it was you know, as pussy as this sounds, it was one of the saddest days of my career. Because
I get that.
I genuinely loved that brand. Like, I felt like I bled that yellow check mark. Like, I lived that brand. It meant everything to me. But I literally was afraid that I was going to go to jail because they were messing around. Specifically, Peter Johansson was messing around with some Danish stock market stuff.
I remember that.
And I knew everything he was doing, and I called him out for it. And he said, basically, shut the fuck up and do as I tell you. He literally said that, actually.
Wow.
We were in Italy at the Rimini show, and he said, Marcel, you work for me. You will do as I say, and you will say only what I tell you to, and that's it. Shut up. And, you know,
That's not how it works in court.
Part of it was giving credit to people who shouldn't have had credit, you know, like Albert Chan at the time. You know, he was like, you cut him off when I tell you to, not until then. You just keep giving him product, because he was pumping his numbers at the time, right? So, you know, there was stuff going on, and because everyone else other than me at that point was Danish, I felt like I was going to be the fall guy. Like, if there was an SEC thing on this company,
they'd have all buggered off back home, and you'd be left stuck either here or in Canada. They'd come after you in Canada.
So I literally was afraid, and I, you know, again, I'm going to sound like a massive pussy, but I went into my office at like 6:30 in the morning and sat there sort of with my head in my hands going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I knew I had to quit, but I really didn't want to. And so I wrote a letter to Peter Johansson and sent him a fax, because that's how you did it at the time. And I just said, you know, I hate what you're doing to the company. I hate, you know, what's going to happen as fallout from all of this, but I can't be part of it because I'm afraid for my family, basically. And I'm sorry, but, you know, I'm leaving effective immediately. And then, like,
And Marcel, I just got to say for a sec, that's a million miles from being a pussy, brother.
Exactly.
Acting in with your integrity and what you believe is right and what you believe is morally appropriate. That's not being a pussy.
Let's just say, though, history hasn't served me well,
bullied and doing the stuff you don't believe in regardless.
That's called having character and backbone.
Yeah, 100%.
But, you know, at a loss, you know, because it definitely cost me to do that. I could have
But that doubled down and it not being a pussy.
I could have made a lot more money staying.
You know what? It's funny you say about you had that loyalty to the yellow check or whatever, right? Yeah. I know exactly, you know, what you feel. I went through a little bit of that when I left Very Light, and you know, it was part of you. It becomes part of who you are as a man and who your personality
your DNA
is. Exactly, right? And then, you know, we learn as we go older. And then when I was at XL Video, I had the similar. It's funny you say this because I just stopped on. When I was at XL Video, I had the similar situation because I had all the Dutch were running it, right? And they were doing things that were absolutely 100% illegal. And I told them, I said, hey, and this is right where you were at too. I said, look, if somebody if one of these guys you're sending over here to work without a work visa and you're having them come over saying they're on vacation, if they're in my warehouse and get hit by a forklift, they're going to come take my house in Malibu, not your house in Lederhosen or wherever the fuck it is, right? And so
let me tell you how weird it got, though. Like, and Eric will know this because he was part of the company at the time. But Peter Johansson came over in September of 1996. Might have been August. And he said, by October 1st, how many PALs do you think you could sell? This was when the PAL was not a great light, but it had recently just come out. And we had not only a warehouse full of them that nobody wanted, but we had a couple containers of them on their way over from Denmark. And he had more
pumping the numbers
sitting in his warehouse over there as well. So he wanted me to basically use this to pump the numbers because he was about to go public. And how many can you sell? And I said, 40,
Six.
maybe 40, 40 with our whole sales team. If we put
Five
an
minutes
incentive
there.
on it.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what kind of an incentive would you need? And I don't remember what it was. Eric, you might remember better than I do, but it was like $100 a pal or something like that we paid out to our staff.
Yeah, the
3
spiff
years.
was like $100 a unit, but I think it was a 2-year interest-free deal.
2-year interest-free loan.
Yeah.
No questions asked on who got the credit. This was
basically.
So with all of this going on, you'll never guess what the CFO, who was a Dane, you'll never guess what his name was. Bent. I kid you not. This was his B-E-N-T, Bent.
You can't make this stuff up.
One of the nicest guys you could ever meet, but, and I mean, he was being told what to do by Peter as well. So, with this, so I wrote this letter, I hit send on the fax, and I'm packing up whatever few items I had left in my office. My secretary comes in, she starts crying. What are you doing? No, you can't leave. And then Nick Freed comes in and he starts crying. You can't leave me. You've just trained me and, you're my mentor and all this stuff. And we're still good friends today. Yeah. But, it was a really sad time for me. So anyways, my prize in selling those pals, because he said, can you do 400 units? And I think we did like 430 units by October 1st, right? And this was a unit that we shouldn't have sold any. Yeah. And my prize was that I got an Acura NSX. He bought me an Acura NSX, brand new. And in 97, the cheesy old looking Acura NSX.
Those are kind of cool, actually.
I got it.
Wasn't your Corvette, but those are kind of cool.
I was going to say, for a second there, I thought you were going to close the loop on the Corvette.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
me too.
In the long story there, Marcel.
No, I've had about 12 Corvettes in my life. I bought one by the time, to end that first story, I bought one when I was 18, not long after I got a job at the music store. And, it did me really well in the dating game, having a Corvette and long hair in Calgary, You
did have quite the hair.
So
Sarah's going to drop in the photos afterwards. But boy, there's some photos of some
Jesus.
epic hair, Marcel.
I have threats on Sarah now. So in my NSX, I had one of those phones in the center console, because we didn't have.
You were
handheld
styling, bro.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was you pick up the handle and it's got the little curly cord.
Yeah.
To the bar. And so it rings and it's a 512 area code, and I'm like, Austin, Texas? I don't know. Okay. So I answered it, and it's Lowell Fowler, and he goes, hi, Marcel, this is Lowell. And I said,
that's a good
hey, Lowell, how you doing? And he goes,
with his radio voice, with his late night radio voice.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Marcel. So I understand you left the company. And I'm like fucking 5 minutes ago, like, what the hell just happened? There's no internet. I'm literally on my way home from the office.
Wow.
In tears practically, right? And he says, well, I just want you to know we've always thought pretty highly of you, and we'd love for you to come out and have a conversation with us. And I said, my mind is pretty screwed up right now. Let me get home. Let me, hug my wife and tell her I just quit my job, and, let me get through at least part of the day, and I'll call you back. And he says, well, we'd love you to come out this weekend. And so I said, I'll call you back. And so I talked to her and I said, hey, work for an Austin company that I have a lot of respect for. They were the number one and we were always number 3 or 4, looking up at number 1.
I loved those guys.
Oh, yeah. Great guys. Great guys. But so, long story short, I ended up calling him. He flew us to Austin. They picked us up at the airport in the Humvee.
The Hummer.
Oh my God! I remember
the
white one. Yeah, I remember that thing. Yeah.
We go to Lake Austin, and Bellevue picks us up in his Go Fast boat at the dock, and he goes out to the middle of the lake, shuts off the engines, and all 3 owners just sit there and turn around and look at me and go, "So, what do you want?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Life jacket."
Want you to not throw me in the
life jacket.
Life jacket.
Like, I don't know. What do I want? And we'd like to have you join the team. And I said, well, we haven't even really talked about it yet. And they said, what do you want? And, I just said 3 or 4 different things. And they went, sure. Yep. And I went, okay.
They're delightful guys.
I
that
guess
whole
I'm joining.
company, the company
Super
says
nice
we
people.
all know the tone's really set from the top down. That's the personality of how it drives the company. And I have to tell you, so when we were there started, you left before I did. My departure was you went off to do, I think the gear stuff, right?
No, that was a while later.
Was that a while later?
Was it Komar after that?
Yeah, a full circle.
That's right. With
I
Nick
took
Freed.
on Gomar again.
Yeah.
So when I left High End, and the reason I left High End was a weird one. It was because I always felt like I was cheating on my wife. Like it felt like I don't know what it feels like to cheat on my wife, but if I were to, that's what it felt like. Like it just felt like I was doing something wrong. I was always infiltrating the wrong camp and trying to do harm on the one that I really liked, So so as I was getting ready to leave, I think I ran into Gerard somewhere, and he said, "So do you want to put the team back together?" And I said, "You don't have a product, like what do you want to do?" And he says, "You pick the product, you pick the company. I'm heading over to Plaza, I think he was going to. You tell me which company you want, and I'll go get it." And I said, and then what? And he said, "I'll give you, X% of the company, and you can run it yourself. I don't want anything to do with managing it or anything. And I'll just put up the money and reputation and
now, who was
warehousing and all this stuff."
This?
Gerard Cohen. He owned Trackman. He was the founder of Trackman.
Okay.
He's actually probably as important, I guess, in Martin becoming a company as Peter Johansson was.
Yeah.
Actually, the Martin name came from Gerard Cohen. Gerard was distributing a line of stereo speakers called Martin.
Oh, yeah.
From a guy in Ocala, Florida, or Gainesville, Florida. And so Peter was selling these smoke machines under, what was it called? Disco something, Eric? I forget what it was called. He was selling smoke machines under a bullshit brand. And Gerard said, "Do you mind if I put my own brand on it, Martin?" And Peter goes, "I don't give a shit. How many do you need?" And and so Gerard puts a sticker on it saying Martin Professional and shows it around to some people. And he calls Peter back and says, "Okay, I need to make an order." And he goes, "Oh, great. That's fantastic. What do you need? 1, 2?" And he goes, "No, I need 50. And he says, "I can't build 50. What are you, crazy?" And, that's really how Martin got going.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Was Gerard being the master sales guy that he was.
I had no idea. That was the
didn't know
origin
that
story.
either.
All the root of the name.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Where did the name come from? Just something that sounded American?
No, it was a guy who had a company called Martin Professional Speakers or whatever. And
you write professional on it, it's going to be good.
And the guy
right there and then. I mean, the rest is
retired.
Mic drop, we're done.
Well, although Griff Palmer used to always have a saying that in his sales meetings, anything with professional in it usually isn't. Anything with international in it usually isn't. Yeah. So I've always been careful not to put professional or international in any of my brand names.
Well, thank God it's not Gear Source Professional.
No,
I consider myself international professional. So there you go.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you left High End.
Oh yeah.
How long were you there?
Not very long. Less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
less than 2 years.
So we would cross paths at these, I call them Tupperware parties. Because there wasn't really Zoom calls. Everybody would come in for meetings once a month or something like that, or we'd meet, pre-LDI or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a weird time at High End, as you remember.
But did you stay in rock bands throughout the whole time? I think you did.
No.
Didn't you? Did you ever play in the High End?
One time. One time at the Joint in Vegas. I played one song, which was the worst possible song to play, and I hated it, but they made me do it.
So, Marcel, while all this was going on, did you get the sense that you were tucking this away in terms of, because it felt like some of the stories you're telling seem to have a real through line with the way you are as a business owner and the kind of business that you
erratic.
Were you kind of like going, all right, well, shit, I'm not going to do that, or like you were talking Wiseman. I mean, I obviously never worked for them, but I always had a ton of time for the high end guys. They were always super fair, super direct, really honest,
good guys,
designers. They seem to run their business with authenticity and honesty. I mean, it seems like you were on a little bit of kind of like a pendulum swing of, all right, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that I'm learning that I'm never going to do if I have my own business. There's a bunch of stuff here that I'm going to pick up all of this gold and tuck this away because one day I might need this for when I have my own enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I would say that most of my selling and business skills probably came from Gerard Cohen, and some of it was how not to do things, but some of it was really just hustle, like how to take $1 and turn it into $2 somehow, just by hustling and working your ass off and making sure that you count everything that's coming in the door and stuff like that. Some of it was like how not to treat people and which is funny because now he's in his 80s and he talks to me all the time and confesses how badly he treated people or how he wished he could go back and change a few things and how people like Eric and myself were so paramount to his success, like he never would have grown the company to what he did without us and that kind of stuff, which is nice to hear. Little late, but nice to hear.
Nice that he's able to have that reflection.
Yeah, high end, really, it was more about how to treat people,
right,
and how to protect your brand and how to make sure that customers were entirely happy with the product. And so, you're touching on something which is something that unfortunately it took me almost 60 years to figure out about myself, which is that I'm incredibly impatient, I'm incredibly curious, and so put those two things together and you're constantly jumping around looking for new ways to do things, new knowledge, new wrinkles, new whatever it is, something, new ground that nobody's broken yet.
Right.
And the challenge there is when you're running a business, and I caution people on this all the time because I do it constantly and it's just disruptive. But you can't just flip the world upside down once a week. You can't just go, now we're going to do it this way because I just read a book that's from this incredible guy and we need to change everything again. Well, didn't you just do that like 3 weeks ago, So
well, you're supposed to lead a team, and that's
hell yeah.
Being a part of a team is a lot different than leading the team.
Yeah.
And so we've all come from that, all of us, John starting on the road back in the day, and Eric, you probably when you first got started. It's the same with me. We worked for other people and we had these mentors like you're talking about. But then when you make that step and you just decide, okay, I think I can take what I've learned here, and here, and I have a vision, I'm going to take it over there. Now it's on you. Now the people are looking to you for the direction. They want to know, hey, where are we going?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We're all in your car now.
Yeah.
Where the hell are we going? And that's what you do
well. It's what we all
think.
sign up for. That's honestly one of the things that I love about my job is that it does all rest on my head. And, for the first time in the history of my life, I'm actually looking at possibly bringing a partner into my company right now. And it's for sort of the opposite reason. It's because I actually want to share some of those decisions with someone else who can sort of balance me a little bit.
Marcel, I got to tell you, I've always ran my business, right back from when Norm and I founded Light Switch with a partner.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I ever did. Having somebody in the trenches with you, frankly, especially with tough decisions.
Yeah.
So, we've all got, the four of us often talk to each other about this. I've sought the counsel of all three of you about decisions, but to have somebody that's there with you, mate, there's nothing like it. And that little thing I read earlier on, you talked about your the restlessness. And I think that's a really important part of being a leader as well, is to be constantly seeking, to be constantly questioning, to be constantly thinking about where that next thing is. Because there's two things you can do. You can either be progressing or you're functionally regressing, because there's no standing still. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards, because everybody else is moving forward. But to have somebody that's part of your business that, and John, that I've been very good friends with a number of people who've been your partners too.
Yep.
And you've had some amazing people as part of your business ventures too. To have somebody that's with you in the trenches there, Marcel, that can question in the best possible way what you're doing.
Yeah,
I know, but why don't you just breathe into that? Or you better fucking do this right now, because this door is going to close in a heartbeat. You're going to regret not doing this.
Being the lone wolf has always been something I strayed away from, and it was mostly because it's your own insecurities. The one thing I'm sure that I'm not right. Okay, I have an idea and I want to bounce it. So that's why I like having a Nick Jackson.
Oh my God,
Part,
yeah, Nick's such a great example.
Well, when I started Chaos, the first thing I did is I go, okay, what have I done? And I need a balance here because I'm over here and I need someone and so I reached out to Nick immediately. And, so you're kind of transitioning. You've had partners, I think, Marcel, but you've been bootstrapping it and I really admire,
I appreciate
your grit. You really do.
It's hard.
You said, Wiseman, about being confident that you don't know everything. I mean, Marcel, you're a man who is very comfortable being very open when you've made mistakes and when there's stuff that you're like, hey, I fucked this up.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part of leadership. And I think it's certainly for me, I think it's really important. I say this to people that work with us, and I hate the expression for us, but
they work with us, yeah.
Is, hey, you don't hear me getting yelled at, but rest assured, I get yelled at.
Yeah.
The clients are pissed off, it's over budget, it didn't work the way they want, whatever the stuff. Everybody takes their share of lumps, and everybody needs to be prepared to say, hey, I just didn't do a great job of that. And one thing that we try to be really clear on is embracing room for failure. And I think you do the same thing. Because if there isn't a potential for failure, you're never going to be brave. Certainly with what we do creatively, if there isn't potential for failure, you're never going to do your best work. If you're constantly being safe, you all three of you have never been particularly interested in doing stuff that's like, this is 100% safe.
Yeah.
Because there's no peril there. There's no excitement. There's no adrenaline.
Here's one of the challenges in our industry. And I take pride in being a sounding board for a lot of people. Like I have a friend that when I was going through some marketplace technology massive failures a couple of years ago that almost cost me the whole business. There was another guy in a marketplace business that happened to be around bicycles, but he was stuck on the same bad technology I was. And we just became like commiserators, co-conspirators, whatever you call it, but we both survived it somehow. And he's started another business in the bicycle business, and he came to me over the weekend, and I ended up on the phone with him for 2 hours. And he loves my insight, not only because I'm super curious and I'm constantly looking at new AI tech and all of that kind of stuff, but because I'm in a similar business, but in a totally different product area, like bicycles to sound and lighting equipment, not quite the same, but there's a lot of things, there's a lot of lines that go through them. And the challenge that I think all of us has, when you are a producer in this industry, and I don't mean producer by its biblical sense, I mean, you're producing things, you're creating, you're driven. When you're that type of person in this industry, there's not a lot of people you can talk to because people want to see you fail. People get courage by watching you fail and by watching you miserable and things like that.
But that's what's driven us. Is we don't want to let them.
You're not going to let the fuckers win, right?
Exactly.
There's people that if I tell them my deepest, darkest secrets or a problem I'm having, they're going to use that as a weapon against me.
Which we don't do.
Which we don't do. Like I've confided with each one of you guys, and most recently with you, Wiseman.
Yeah.
And told you things that I wouldn't tell, some of my family members. So.
Well, you know what I mean. Genuinely, and I, it's not just the three of us, the four of us on here with you. I think over time period, we all deal with people and filling needs and finding out what the need is and how do we fill that need the best. And, maybe there's something they don't understand that they might need. So you got to bring that information to them. So there's a lot of different lanes that you try to drive down. There's a lot of personalities in this business, like any business. I think we're probably weighted more towards personalities, right?
Yeah.
But the beauty of it here is that I genuinely, even my fiercest competitors who have all probably worked for me at some time, and worked with me at some time, or now we work against. We're all friends, and I want everyone to win. I want some people not to win as much, but I don't. The younger John wanted total domination and scorch the earth behind me, and it's like, number one, that doesn't happen. I think it's a God thing. And number two is that's the wrong way to look at things. But also number three, I think you guys might share this. I've come to a point in my life where it's like, look, I had to win every deal for a long time. And now it's like, hey, the world didn't end when I thought it was going to end. That was going on between my two ears. And that was insane thinking that if I didn't get that deal, that all hell broke loose and everyone's going to go home when no one's
it's funny,
eat.
John, I have a really good memory of that. So when I left High End and I went and got Comar and I stole a deal from you. And you called me. And
what an asshole.
And you said you took that deal. And I said, yep. And you said, do you think that's okay? And I said, John, I've known the guy for 10 years as well. And you said, listen, Marcel, fuck you, lose my number. And
yeah,
we hung up the phone and I just kind of laughed, right?
Yeah.
And I think I waited about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I called you and I said, hey, John, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. How are you? I mean, it was just like it never happened at all, right?
Well, look, something I learned through personal, I hate the word journey, so I'm not going to use it, personal experience over time is that, as human beings, we are fear-based individuals. Yeah. It's in our DNA that if we don't get our meal for the day, that we're fucked. And it's absolute bullshit. Right.
Well,
and I
you know
learned
what?
that.
It's one of the things I like about you guys is you're all winners. You're all like accomplishers. You're all guys who go after the big prize. And I love that. Like I don't like people who just take whatever lands in their plate. But there's a balance. There's a balance.
I'm a big fan of quotes. So one of my favorites I have it up on the wall by my desk here is there's actually two of them. One of them, we're talking about this failure thing. If you remove the risk of being wrong, you remove the thrill of being right. And another one is embrace the narcotic allure of the near impossible task. Yeah. And I think we all do that. It's like, why even get out of bed if you're not going to have an adventure and it's going to be easy?
Oh, hell yeah. I agree with you.
There's no win there. There's no like, oh my God, that was never going to go our way. And then we made it go our way just by presence of will, and frankly, I increasingly believe just by being good people and showing up and doing what you say you're going to do. Yeah. And it astonishes me the number of clients who are like, you guys did exactly what you said you were going to do. Yeah. And then you did it on time. Yeah. And then you did it on budget. Yeah. Is that because we said we did it, and that means something. And it's the same for all three of you. When you say you're going to do it, it's done. I mean, all three of you have said stuff to me, and I'm like, okay, but it's done.
And the other part of that too that I think we all share is that we're all mentoring people now, and we learn a lot from them that they don't even know we're learning from them as much as they're learning from us, if not more. And one of the things I tell people is like, look, nobody's gonna die if this doesn't happen exactly the way that we're going to happen. So when the Verilite thing was classic. I had the guys at Verilite around, and everyone's living and dying by these deals, and they're spending so much time working with like the LD or the producer, or the production manager, explaining our process and how we're better and stuff. And I said, guys, stop that. Okay. We are a line item on a spreadsheet somewhere between barricades and porta potties that they want to check off the list and know that we have their back, okay? And know that we'll do what we get. So do what you say you're going to do really is what this is all about.
Oh, hell yeah.
Even way more important than that is that if you have promised something and in your heart you felt that was absolute reality, right? And then you found out it's not, immediately raise your hand and go, you know what? I fucked up. But here's my way out of this, okay? Here's how we're going to get to the golden valley over here. But we're going to have to shift and never, ever conceal anything like that. And I tell you, I was in a couple situations, and I know we all been in them, where the best thing I did was raise my hand and go, okay, here's what we're going to do. And then at the end of it, that client either hates you even more or will never go anywhere without you.
And usually the latter.
Exactly, because
Usually the latter.
because you didn't just fucking disappear. And I've seen guys just disappear. And when I see someone just disappear and take off, I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Because
that was going to happen sooner or later anyway. And
Right.
now you know you've eliminated that
Yeah.
variable.
because
Let me
we don't
let
have
me
that in our
finish
DNA.
this. Let me finish This Is Your Life, because I want to get on to
Well, we're not
something
done
more
yet.
interesting before we run out of time. So Komar went through that experience. It went from really good to really bad, and that just really was based on greed of not just Mr. Cohen, who I happen to have a lot of respect for. So I'm not just talking shit about Gerard Cohen, but he just saw bright flashing things and said, ooh, I'm going to bring in as much money as I possibly can and get this. He brought in some mezzanine capital and blah, blah, blah. And my ownership of Komar went from this much to like this much ownership, this much ownership in a larger group of companies called Stanton Group. And Stanton Group
I remember that
was Stanton Magnetics, like turntable needles,
right?
Needles and DJ electronics and stuff. And there were just some really bad things that happened. They moved us into the same building. And I remember Steve Cohen yelling at me, I need parts tomorrow in Italy for Madonna or whatever it was. I don't even remember. And we hadn't gotten back to him because now our shipping department was part of this Stanton Magnetics thing. So I go into the warehouse to talk to the warehouse guy and get him parts. And I literally tripped over a box and fell because the lights were off in the warehouse. And I go back inside and I'm like, did we lose electricity or something? No. If they close shipping by 2:00 in the afternoon. And I'm like, I got to get some parts to friggin' Italy by tomorrow morning, like what the hell? So I literally
there's
took
no
a
such thing
flashlight.
as a needle emergency.
Exactly.
I took a flashlight and I'm going
kind
through
of
the
needle emergency,
warehouse.
Wiseman.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going through the warehouse with a flashlight, looking at part numbers and stuff, trying to find these power supply cards or whatever it was that I needed to send overnight. And then I had to drive them to the airport. And I took so much shit for doing this because I'm taking care of a customer. And I knew that was the beginning of the end. So left there, had
How
to
dare
wind
you
down
take
some
care
stuff.
of that customer in that manner?
Really. What a ridiculous notion, Marcel.
I left there. Well, and really what it was my first bumping heads with a board of directors too. So I remember making a presentation at a board meeting with this new board of mezzanine people and stuff. And I'm talking, and did you guys ever see that movie Airheads?
Oh, yeah.
With the radio DJ?
Yeah.
And do you remember the part where they're saying, and you're a douchebag, and Sphincter says what, and all this stuff, right? And he's going, because he's not listening to them at all.
Yep.
That's what I was talking to in this room. Like I could literally see the guy on his BlackBerry making a golf tee time, and the other guy on his BlackBerry booking the steakhouse for tonight or whatever. And I'm showing them a presentation that's telling them their fucking business is on fire. It's in flames and it's burning to the ground if you don't change something now. And so their HR director comes in and goes, Marcel, I know you're an owner in the company and you're the president and all this stuff, but, either you're going to have to go or the CEO is going to have to go. And I'm like, I'm making your job easy. Look, that box over there, my shit's already packed. I'm leaving. I dropped the bomb in the conference room and I'm out of here. I'm leaving. So went home for a couple of months, sitting out by my pool, coming up with ideas. And I came up with this concept for Gear Source, and it was based around manufacturers and really around my own experience, which was we're starting to come out with new models a little bit faster. Like this is post-IntelliBeam, post-Cyberlight, where things were lasting 12, 15 years before you had to come out with a new model.
Right.
And
the cycle now is so quick.
It was quick.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And yet we weren't very efficient with inventory. So I was seeing things get pushed further back on the shelf while the new models were coming in front of it. And so who's dealing with that older stuff? So my original model was getting rid of B stock stuff, excess inventory for manufacturers. And so that's how it started. A couple months later,
it never ends where you start.
I get a call a couple months later from Huddleston going, hey, can you do this for a rental company too? And I said, yeah, I guess so. And he goes, great, I'm going to send you a list of inventory we need to get rid of. And so that was it. And, rental companies obviously are our biggest buyer and seller today. And so that company evolved from this little idea of, we're all we've all got this fire starting in our warehouses on the manufacturing side that nobody's paying attention to, and I just want to take that off people's board. I want to take all of this B stock and discontinued inventory. I'll focus on that because sales teams like to focus, as Eric will confirm, on the new feature, the hot new thing. It's easy to call a customer and go, I've got one more gobo than our competitor does. But it's hard to call and go, I got this old shit. Do you want any of it? That's a much tougher sale. So I decided to focus on the tougher sale.
You know what? It's not sexy selling pencils, but if you're selling a bazillion pencils,
exactly,
sexy really fast.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like all the really rich guys get very rich on selling unsexy things.
Oh yeah.
No. The sexy stuff is less profitable than the unsexy stuff.
Well, and you find out, shit, that wasn't sexy after all.
Yeah. So can we talk about other stuff yet?
Well, no.
Oh
no.
No, because I think we got to talk about this, about where did the idea come from for Geezers of Gear, and for
Gear.
you, lady, because I got to tell you, I mean, and one of the reasons why we thought it was important to do this is there are a lot of people who go, oh, Marcel, the Geezers of Gear guy, and it's like, yeah, but there's a lot more, the reason why Marcel, why you are so
much
good at
deeper.
It rises deeper, Marcel. You have a deeper story. We're going to go below the surface. But because you've been around the block a bunch of times and you've done a lot of stuff, but also because you're a decent human being, and every time I have a conversation with somebody about Geezers of Gear, the way Geezers was so important over the pandemic always comes up without exception. People are like, oh my God, that was great over the pandemic, and I think about the thing that Strickland still says all the time, and he's right, is he's like, over the pandemic, it really showed some flaws in the way our industry works. Michael says all the time, the reason why the airlines and the hospitality industry got help is they showed up at Congress with an aircraft carrier. The entertainment production business showed up at Congress in 1,000 canoes.
Yeah.
But for me, two of the things that were really rewarding over the pandemic was the red light alert and people pulling together, and we did a bunch of them. We were really instrumental in the one in Chicago out at the United Center, and to see non-union stagehands working with union stagehands, working with people from upstaging and people from ILC, and all of these, everybody just unified. But Geezers of Gear did that every week.
Well, it created a community that was there but didn't know that we all were in the same boat.
Yeah. So the Geezers idea really was just incredibly organic. At the time, Henry Conez worked for me, and I just was on a call with Henry one day, and I said, this podcasting thing is really taken off. I'm starting to really like listening to podcasts myself. I think we should do one. And you and I like to talk about equipment. So why don't we just call it Geezers of Gear? We're going to be the geezers, and we're going to talk about gear. And we did that for like 1 or 2 episodes. And then someone called me up and said, hey, I want to be on your podcast. And I said, oh, okay. So
like,
now
wait, I don't have a podcast.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're going to make it about other people, the podcast. And so the geezer shifted from being me to being the guest. And even though a lot of our guests have been young women, young men, etc., not necessarily geezers, but the brand.
We're all geezers.
We're stuck with the branding, whether we like it or not. So, it was very, very organic. I had no idea how to create a podcast, learned very quickly. Since that time, I've probably taught 30 people how to do a podcast, including this guy over the weekend who's starting a podcast. And so, and it's honestly, it's probably one of the coolest, most fun and rewarding things that I've ever done, because it gave me the opportunity to be a part of that We Make Events thing. And, it gave me the platform to create the weekly Zoom call with lots of people who I admire and respect. And, like half these Zoom calls for me were pinch me moments. Like if I could get all these CEOs and all these lighting designers and these production managers and these 4 guys here, if I could get them on the phone 10 years ago, I would have been like, no way, I can't believe that. And here I've got them all on at the same time. So, honestly, like I remember saying to my girlfriend when the We Make Events thing happened, I just said, I don't know what just happened. Like when it was over, it was like 2:00 in the morning or something. And I just said, I'm exhausted, but I got to tell you, I feel like I was just a part of something that was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of by far. Like just an incredible moment. I was a part of it, and I'm grateful.
You know, I tell you,
She said, okay, fine,
that's cool.
shut up
Like,
and go to bed.
and for I'll say for me personally, because I think one of the first ones or second or third ones was I was in Palm Desert, and it was March 15th, 2020, and the hotel I was in was a mob scene. And then the pandemic hit that day, and the 16th they told me we're closing the hotel and everybody was gone. And I said, no, I just paid for 2 weeks. Get a chef in here, have him on. And some guy behind me at the checkout thing goes, yeah, me and my wife are staying too. So 6 of us took over the hotel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I just,
That's
and
cool.
I said, have a chef here at for breakfast and for lunch, and we'll figure out dinner, and, you know, have the janitor bring us drinks at the pool, and we're not leaving. Right. And then I think like the second day, I want to say like March 16th or 17th, we did the podcast about the pandemic. And I remember vividly saying, oh, this is bullshit. In 2 weeks, there's all these tours booked for the summer. There's no fucking way that the summer tours, there's no way that Billy Joel and Motley Crue and X, Y, and Z are not going to go out. They got sold out stadiums. And I just remember just completely blowing it off.
Well, we all made some dumb predictions.
Well, I got to tell you.
Well, we all made, the bunch of us together, well, along with Ben. I remember some of those early things we did, Wiseman. We were like, do you remember the 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks flat?
Max.
Yeah,
Max.
Max.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
because
or
it was just
my infamous day 91.
Yeah. It was so, but you know what? I don't want to do that I don't want to go through that by myself. You know, I don't want to be on an island wondering, fuck, is everything over? You know, the worst part is you won't die and you'll just be broke.
Yeah.
It's worse than death.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding.
You know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it really, it was super. I don't think you really have an understanding. And I think that's one of the things that I want to tell you of what that meant to me. And what that meant to me being able to go back to the skeleton staff that we had kept and say, hey, look, I'm talking to some really great industry guys. This is kind of what we're thinking. This is just like a thumbnail sketch, the vibe and the feel for today. But being able to have that rather than just be like alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, man.
You know how many people told me the opposite, though? Like the fact that you've given me access to people like John Wiseman and Featherstone and Loader and Ben Saltzman and Michael Strickland and stuff, like for me to be able to get on a call every Wednesday and listen to this group of people speak, it saved me.
Listen to all these wrong predictions.
He's talking complete nonsense.
But you know what? How good does it make a knucklehead feel to hear someone who's as respected as any of you guys make those predictions, and you be wrong too.
And be wrong.
You know, but you know what it is. You know what it is. What we share in common is our passion for this industry. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's
what
for
humans. I think. You know,
yeah,
I think
it's what drives us to sell more. It drives us to do more shows, to help more people, and you know, it's all about customer service, and it's all about the relationships that we have. And the gear may change, right? The gear changes, and you know, we've had a few different jobs, but you know, it's the people that have stayed the same, and that's what we all treasure.
And I'll tell you, I'll speak for myself. I've got to be going forward towards a goal, and that's what we were talking about in all those things. That's what we talk about all the time. You know, when we have a call, Marcel, I talk to you, John, or you, Eric. It's like, hey, you know, we got a new light coming out. What do you think about this? It's because if I don't have those moments where I'm looking forward to something to create or close or change or whatever, I've had the moments where I've stopped and I've looked around and thought, holy shit, we're writing 5,000 paychecks every 2 weeks. I'm responsible for a portion of this. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
It's a shocker moment because all I wanted to do as a kid was go to a rock show, hang out, meet some girls, drink some beer, and make some money.
I remember having some of those calls with you, though.
Yeah.
When the pandemic first hit, I remember having some of those real dark calls with you where it was like, You know, we're responsible for a lot of people right now, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
like, I remember you were so afraid of which car show was it?
I don't know.
One of the
all
one
of
in
them?
Europe.
Oh yeah,
The one in Europe.
Geneva.
Yeah. The Geneva Auto Show. You were like, if Geneva Auto Show goes down, we're doomed. It's over.
We're fucked because they got to do it. That's
industry,
the car business. They're huge. They're
Yeah.
powerful. Well, no, none of us are.
Right.
That's just the way it is. But yeah, and I remember, and it also look, good always comes out of bad, no matter what.
Oh, hell yeah!
It's
much good came out of this.
It's never the catastrophe that I personally go, oh shit, and it's never as bad. And I think it's good to be able to share that with some of the co-workers, the people we work with, the people that we work for, and it brings you a little bit closer together. But man, it's shocking to me how many lives we're responsible for.
It's incredible.
Possible people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, I don't want to downplay how big it was for people to have access to people like you guys on those Zoom calls. Like, one of your warehouse guys could come and listen to John Wiseman and Michael Strickland and Eric Loader and whoever talking about this
What's
high
going
level
on?
of the business.
Yeah.
They couldn't hear that in their normal life. So talk about a good that came out of COVID is, I think we kind of looped in everybody into the exact same sort of bucket. Like
Everybody
everyone
was in the same mind
bucket
space. Yeah.
all of a sudden, right?
Well,
Like
but we're all very accessible. I know all of us are. I mean,
yeah.
I still suffer from the paranoia of I answer every single phone call when my phone call, and so I talk to a lot of spam people, and because I'm afraid I'm going to miss the next deal. Right?
Yeah.
It's just my
Funny
paranoia.
you still think like that at this stage of your career,
I know, but it's
cool.
just,
Well, you know what it's like, Marcel. You call Wiseman and picks up like that.
Yeah.
It's instant. Yeah.
well, and Marcel, you're the same way.
Yeah.
We're texting each other stupid shit at 3 a.m, right?
Yeah.
And so,
But I don't answer spam calls. So.
well,
Sorry.
it doesn't. I don't know it's a spam call till I'm talking to them, and I'm thinking,
Well, you don't look. You don't look at your caller ID. I know you don't, Wiseman.
No,
You just
fuck
pick up
no.
the phone and you're like, "Hey, it's John.
"What's
You
up?"
know, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, even as and I remember being a younger man and looking up at like the Rusty Bruchets and the Lowells and the Richard Bellevues and Bill Kerbishley and all the guys that we dealt with, they were all accessible too. But when we become accessible through media is so powerful. As I was talking to somebody about media, I had a very strange experience about how powerful media was, which ties into the accessibility of anyone can listen to this on any time, whatever they are, just it's accessible. I was, when I really had a shocker of how powerful media was I was at Madison Square Garden with Michael Jackson, and I had one of those phones that had a strap.
The bag phone?
Yeah. You use it as a table to do bad things on. And and I remember I walked behind Michael. I didn't even know he was standing there. Michael Jackson. I walked behind him, and I was on screen. I was talking on my phone. I was on screen on MTV, probably 1/2 of 1 second, and my phone blew up. Why?
Really?
You at the Garden? I'm like, yeah, And then like I probably got 50 calls in 50 seconds.
Jesus.
So that power is what you've grabbed here, and you're putting that together. And I love that someone might get something that, like, there might be some kid in Australia who's listening to this, who's 20 years old and wants to get in and goes, hey, that Eric Lohr seems like a pretty good dude. Wiseman's always talking over him, but maybe he'll talk to me. So
let me tell you a quick story. So I said this on the pre thing to recording this. Last night I was watching the Canada versus Germany hockey game, like any good Canadian should have been.
You have to, or you lose your passport, right?
That's right.
Yeah. They give you like a secret code.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm poking around social media at the same time, and a message came in to Geezers of Gear from some dude that I didn't know, and he followed us and everything. And the message was about AI, and he was showing me a video of a guy who created some AI technology, which I thought was pretty crappy. Actually, it's just a guy talking to an audio console and saying channels 3 through 7 up 5 dB or whatever, and you'd see the faders move up a little bit, and whoo, and that's just voice to text. Like, that's not really using AI, where you'd walk in and say, make the room a little warmer sound. Make it sound like, a theater, or like a certain type, which theater, exactly.
Call
which
Bambi.
Theater. So anyways, he just started talking and going off and saying, I listen to your podcast when I'm riding the train into work, into the shop.
Nice.
I was on Elton John on the last tour, and, a third guy on the audio crew or whatever. And, love what you're doing. Love Geezers of Gear. I'm so grateful for what you guys do. I'm so grateful for the access that you give me to these incredible people and these unbelievable stories. And I just wanted you to know what you're doing for the youth of this business.
That's cool.
And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, if somebody could just say that once a week, I'd keep doing this forever. Like, I'd drop all the sponsors. Not yet, Eric. But I mean, it's to me, that's what it's all about. It's that someone's getting something from it. And, so that was the idea of Geezers of Gear. That's still the idea. Like, so many people started podcasts at the front end of the pandemic, because what else am I going to do? I'm going to start a podcast. Let's do that.
Yeah, but you didn't stop, Marcel. You've kept it going. You've kept it relevant and interesting and forward looking. Well done, mate.
Well, and we're still trying to keep evolving it. Like, we're adding a couple wrinkles right now. We're working on some cool stuff using some AI as well. And so yeah, I mean, to me, like, if and when I ever sell my company, Geezers of Gear is going to become my retirement fun gig. It's what I'm going to keep doing, because I love having conversations. God knows I love to talk. But what most people don't know is that I really actually love to listen. I love hearing stories and ideas and thoughts and all of that stuff.
Well, this business, dude, that's a great plan too, because you really don't get out of this business. I recently just did a new contract, and part of that contract was, what do I do after this certain time? Because we're just not the kind, we have so many personal connections with the people that we work with, and so many people that we're bringing up and working with. You don't just, I mean, maybe you could, I don't know. You don't just walk away from it. Like, I look at a guy like Jerry Harris, Jerry has made arguably probably as much or more of a bankroll, and he doesn't have to work at all. But this is what he does. He started as a stagehand. And he got opportunities, and he found seams, and he drove through them, and he found a problem and provided solutions, which is what we do. And I was on a call with him for an hour on Sunday morning yesterday in the middle of the holiday vacation. We're talking about stuff. It's just what we do. So, that's a great way for you to stay connected.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm envious. Very good.
No, but you know what? I mean, and who would not want to be connected? Like, 90% of the people that I talk to, I really like, and I really enjoy, and I look up to them, and it's my honor having those people on the podcast. The other 10%, a little iffy, but the 90% takes care of the other 10%.
Hey, if you hit 9 out of 10 hits, you'd be in the Hall of Fame, right?
There is that 10% that makes this a job. The other 90%, it's really fun. It breaks up my day, my week, whatever. I love doing it. And even though sometimes my company looks at me and goes, "Their podcast, like, why aren't you creating some new thing for the company instead?" Well, because this is creating something.
Well, and Marcel, I mean, we one of my partners, Medvitz, and I did a thing at LPS last year, talking to a lot of up-and-comers in the business. You are a brand whether you want to be or not. So choose the way you want your brand to be. And a huge part of the Gear Source brand is you. You're the brand ambassador for Gear Source. So what you're doing is making a really bold, positive statement about the way you think about the business, the way you think about people, that you're a decent human being that has the best interests of this industry at heart.
Yeah.
I think that's...
You guys are all the same, by the way.
Genius marketing.
You guys are all the same. Like, Eric is elation. I think 99% of people in the touring world, or in the professional lighting world, if you ask them who's Elation, they'd say Eric Loader.
100%.
They'd say, ask any production manager who's PRG, they'll say John Wiseman. And of course, not to put down anyone else in your glorious company, Featherstone, but
It's 'cause I
you're
talk too much.
synonymous with the brand. So yeah, I mean, the brand becomes an extension of all of us, obviously. So yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I think that's perhaps some of the insights that people get from watching Geezers of Gear. Is to go, oh, you know what?
It's a
what I
great
say
brand
does actually
for-
matter.
it's a
what
great
I post
brand.
on social media, my friend
Yeah.
Marcel, actually does matter. The way I position myself matters. It's all part of being a decent human being. And Wiseman, I know you're a big believer of this as well. And frankly, as are you, Eric. We get hired back as much because of the people we are as because of the job we did.
Oh, hell yeah.
They're like, no, and I've seen this amplified post-pandemic. So many people are like, look, I just want to work with people I like. I just want to work with decent people that I can trust. When they say they're going to do something, it's done. When I ask them to do something, it's done. They're going to do it. When they say they're going to do it, for how much money they said they're going to do it. And if it screws up, they're going to come to me with a plan for how to fix it.
We are the brand, and that's like, for what you're doing for Gear Source is just huge. And I hope that you really know that. I'll tell you, one of the epiphany that I had when I figured out that I was representing whoever I happened to be owning or working for or whatever at the time. I was in a court case, and the witness was on the stand, and the opposing counsel said to them, hey, so, because they said I had stole all this information. And they said, hey, so when John Wiseman was the CEO of XL Video, and the client, the witness said, what's XL Video? And the guy almost dropped his fucking notepad.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, huh. And then the lawyer's like, this is like, this guy's getting like $1,200 an hour, right? He's supposed to be the best of the best. He goes, well, XL Video, John Wiseman was the CEO of XL Video, and then he left and started Chaos. And the witness goes, what's Chaos? and I was like, oh. And the guy goes, well, that's this. And so now he's explaining to the witness. It was Tommy Lee, by the way. He's explaining to the witness, and Tommy goes, I don't know where John works. I don't have any idea where he works. He goes, he's the best in the business. He's done every show with us since 1984. He said, me and Pamela and Dylan and Jagger, we just go down to his house and we have a barbecue, and I ask him what's the coolest stuff, and he just takes care of it. He goes, I trust John. I have no idea. I have no idea where he works.
That's a great story.
And
that is a great story.
That you could put that on any one of you guys, and that's how important it is. And
Tommy Lee wasn't at my divorce hearings, or I
was at his.
Famous people like deposed.
No, but
it
doesn't matter who it was. It was just that was a person who's saying, and that could have been anybody that just said, when he said, I don't know where he works, I thought, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. I must be doing something right.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that I could probably call any one of you three guys and say, I've got this idea. Mm-hmm. And not only will you hear me out, but you'll jump in head first most of the time, because you know that A, I'll probably protect you as a brand, and B, I'll try and make it as minimally painful as I possibly can. And hopefully there'll be a positive outcome. And I think these are earned. This is an earned credibility that each of us has, and it's not that easy to get. And
we're all very blessed.
We are blessed, and we've worked hard for it too, though. So,
but we love our jobs.
Let's keep doing it. You keep doing the podcast. We'll keep sponsoring as long as we can.
We'll keep showing up.
I heard that. I got it in writing now. The transcript. I'm going to send it to you so you can sign the bottom. Obviously, we appreciate the sponsors, because it makes it so that I can now have a life still, because Sarah takes care of so much stuff.
She's just doing a great job.
Thank you. She's dead after this podcast.
No. She was. We came to her with the idea. She was like, "You can't do this, Marcel."
You think she had a chance of saying no to us?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because this morning I was like, where are the show notes for this podcast? Because, usually there's like, she's got an agenda and I don't follow it, but at least there's some breadcrumbs there in case I want to
she
follow
sent
it.
them to us, mate. We've got all the show notes.
Yeah, well, I didn't, so I'm like,
You
where's
didn't
the
either.
show notes? And she goes, oh, no, these guys, they've got some ideas of some stuff that they wanted to talk about,
Well, Merry Christmas, pal.
Yeah, no, it's amazing that you guys did this. I appreciate it so much. And
we love you, pal.
as much as I'd rather talk about you three than me,
we'll do another one and we can talk about ourselves.
You were due. You were due.
Yeah.
You were due.
Well, I do, honestly, I do have some crazy stories as far as how I've survived life, let alone business and everything else. It doesn't make sense. I didn't take a straight line, put it that way. Nor did, certainly not Wiseman. John Featherstone, I actually, you took a relatively straight line, I guess.
You know what, though? I got to tell you, when John did what he did, when he, because he was extremely in demand in the rock and roll world, and I honestly didn't really know that he was doing the we call it more of a straight gig, right? And when he started Light Switch, it really I kind of thought, because I'm thinking like this, and John was clearly thinking like this, and I was in this, and I thought, okay, well, that's interesting, and then I started to think, and I saw some of the jobs you were doing. Of course, I would think I was working with Medvits right around that time too.
Yeah.
And I had an epiphany on you there, John. I thought, smart motherfucker, man, there's lights everywhere.
Yeah. And it's not always a race to the bottom.
Yeah. Also true. Yeah. Also true. Margins.
Yeah. When you sell a guitar, you sell one guitar. When you sell lighting, it's a whole system.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That was your trigger point, Marcel. So
yeah,
there was some stuff you shared though that I didn't know, Marcel. So it was really, really great.
Thanks for this.
As a friend of yours, hearing your origin story, it's important. And I think we're all parents, and I think one of the things that's really great is we can all look at our stories, and there were things that at the time felt like they were going to be the end of the world, and they weren't. Like you were saying, Wiseman. And I think that's really important for people that may or may not be listening to a bunch of old effers talk about this, but the things that you think are going to be the end of the world are not. And that's a huge part. I know we've all shown up for our kids. From a parent standpoint, is like it really is going to be okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to echo that earlier when we were talking about losing deals, winning deals. I lose and win deals every day here, and the winning's more fun, believe me. I went to a football game Friday night. I didn't expect our team to win. They came back and won. I had no control over that, but it was great to be there. So
you don't have any
just
control over this.
You know who actually said the same thing that you just said, Erica, and she said it really well, and I'm not a huge fan or anything, but Cher, I saw her being interviewed once, and she said, I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better. I've been 50 and I've been 60. 50's better.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was just a great way of saying it, but it's like life goes on, right? And you just keep pointing north. My problem, it's the weirdest thing, because people are like, are you getting ready to start thinking about winding it down?
I get asked that too.
You know how people who are 60 years old, you're supposed to be thinking about your retirement, and you're supposed to be desperately trying to get to the end. Like, oh, I've only got 29 more days left of my of working, and then I get to retire. I dread it. I dread the concept. I wake up thinking I wish I had 20 extra years, because I got too many things to do. I got so many ideas for how I'd love to expand Geezes of Gear. So many ideas for other things that I want to do, and I'm going to run out of time, unfortunately.
But I know it is a cliche, but 60 isn't really the new 50. No. 60 is the new 40.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking to a really close buddy of mine, and we were probably both around 45. And he kind of got introspective, and he goes, Weissman, so how the 40s? Fucking amazing. I would have never thought this, right? Yeah. It's like, I thought it was over by then, and right, having a great time. And now, in my 60s, I turned 66 this year. I think there's something about this business, too, that keeps us young. It's probably because we don't sit still. Yeah. There's all, I don't go to a desk at 9 and get off at 5 and go home. And as great as that sounds to me, I would slit my wrists.
Yeah.
If that's what my life was. If I had Saturday and Sunday off, what the hell would I do? Like, I belong to a country club and I play golf about 3 times. Yeah, but I play 3 times a year because who the fuck has 6 hours besides you, Eric? So,
Oh, if you had Saturday and Sunday off, you'd drive Tracy crazy.
Oh, she'd go nuts.
Stab you. Let alone stabbing yourself.
Yeah.
But you know what I think it is? I think there's something fundamental about what we do, no matter where we are in the path and the process of delivering entertainment. We work in an industry that is at its core focused on people enjoying themselves. And I think if you lose sight of that, then you've lost sight of the most fundamental thing. The fundamental thing we do is whether it's Eric, you empowering me, or Wiseman, you empowering me to empower an artist, or Marcel, you doing this, or however it works. The end result is somebody putting their ass in a seat and having a good time.
Bro, is there anything better than house lights?
Oh my God! You talk about the narcotic allure. I mean, the moment house lights goes out,
you know what, Wiseman?
We're all connected with people having a good time.
I saw it from Wiseman in New York. He had seen that show like friggin', I don't know, 10 times by then.
Yeah,
and the look on your face, John, it was just like the first time you've ever seen a rock concert or whatever.
It was electric,
right?
Man, and it still is.
I mean, but I could tell the joy was real. Like, it wasn't some bullshit thing like, I'm collecting another paycheck this week or whatever. It was like, wow, I love what I do. I love what I'm sitting here doing.
It was cool because, like, I felt, and this really shows the childish thinking that I think we all get to continue with, right? Yeah. So I know I've got this show that I have a lot of personal connection to. But the music is the personal connection that goes back to when I was a kid and had headphones on and was listening to Dark Side of the Moon on it. I was like, what in the fuck is this, right? And so there I am, 50 years later? Yeah, 50 years later. And the emotional tie to the music, because I was never a guitar player, never singer, I couldn't play anything. But it was just, it's the fabric of my DNA has always been music, right? Well, and then I'm able to call Marcel and go, dude, come be my guest. Yeah. Call Mokri, come be my guest.
Yeah.
And I got to live it through you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
well,
special
Marcel,
show.
you had Mark on your podcast, and just having him talk about it and the show, and also then seeing stuff on social media and stuff. I mean, I was blown away just watching that. Right. So I can imagine what it was like to be there. So.
Yeah, it's too bad that you didn't see it, Eric, because that really, it's like, if I don't see another concert for a while, I hate to say it, but I think, that was sort of the pinnacle for me.
Well, and I thought of you and Mokri because I know you're both guitar players.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, here's the guitar solo of our lives. Yeah. And I know that these guys will appreciate it. And I'm going to get, and this here I am, an old man, at a gig, really digging watching you guys watch it.
That's awesome. That's the best feeling, living vicariously. Yeah.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah.
Hey, before we dive out of this thing, I want to ask you guys something. I want a 2025 prediction.
2 weeks. It's going to last 2 weeks. That's it.
From each one of you, I want
flatten the curve, right?
I want a 2025 prediction. One thing that you think is going to happen related to our industry, not politics or anything, wars or any bullshit
we don't,
like
best
that.
Not to go there.
Yeah, we don't need to. And what's up with plane crashes? Jesus Christ. Like,
how those drones sure became a non-item all of a sudden.
Didn't right? They? Isn't it funny how things like that just disappear?
Gone.
Yeah. That's the news cycle these days. No. But give me a prediction. One.
I'll give you a prediction. I think it's going to be a great year for our industry. I think we've been in a transition out of this sort of post-pandemic revenge entertainment euphoria. And it feels like, and Eric and John, I don't know if it feels the same to you, it feels like with some stability is coming back. And it's not just everything's on fire and it's a frenzy and, oh my God, every job on top of every other job and everyone's just running around with their hair on fire. That we're finding a good sustainable level.
It's 2019, but larger.
Yeah, sustainable growth, I think, is what I'm optimistic for 2025.
Cool.
And that's what we're planning for. I think it's, this year's been a challenging year. And, some people have done better than others this year, but I think next year it's going to be more. It's just going to be easier. Is what I'm hoping for next year.
Boy, I'm about to tell you what, prediction for me, your mouths to God's ears, because there was the coming out of the pandemic, 2023 was just balls to the wall. It was euphoria. It was what's that? There was a term that Paul Volcker or Norm Greenspan, used, where it was irrational exuberance.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so which then 24 was, a pretty shit year, to tell you the truth. And it's all relative, right? So when we have a board, so when you come out of a irrationally exuberant year, and of course the nature of business is how you're going to add 8 to 10% on top of that. Yeah. And it's like, I remember saying, not going to happen. And they're like, why? And I go, well, because how many $1,000 concert tickets, babysitters, bag of pot, T-shirts, popcorn, parking can these people do? They're burnt. The economy's eggs are 5 times as much. And I said, I said this last year. I said, and people are they got their fix, and they're going to take a little bit of a rest. And, and so 2024 never stacked up to what, we were supposed to do. And it's always disappointing. And I'm trying not to have that irrational exuberance about 2025, but I will mirror you guys. It feels more normal.
Yeah, like we've kind of dipped and we've just now kind of...
Yeah, we overcorrected, and then we overcorrected.
Yeah.
And now I think it's going to go...
Coming back up to something sustainable.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's my wish and hope for everybody to do well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And my prediction is that and this is going to be a shock coming from me, but we're going to see the early entrance of AI in our industry.
I'd love to do an AI Geezers of Gear with you. I have some strong feelings about AI that I think will surprise you.
Yeah, we'll do it soon, because it's obviously a favorite topic.
Well, we won't have to show up. AI can just do the whole episode on its own.
By the way, if any of you guys ever wants like the coolest AI tool of the week or of the month or of the year or whatever, just call me and I'll send it to you.
I fucking hate the idea.
I know. Yeah,
I fucking hate it. And I'll tell you what. It's like somebody talking to me about it, and I just said, you know what? I am really glad that I'm old.
Didn't you have a robot digging around in your ass, though?
Yeah, okay, but I wasn't involved in it.
You sit this one out, all right?
Okay.
You sit this one out, John.
You know what? I got the shot of Michael Jackson's propofol, the Happy Milk, and I woke up cured of cancer, so I'm happy. That's fine. But you know what? That was the doctor in a different room.
So it's selective. You like selective AI. You like it where you like it, but you don't like it where you don't like it.
I don't want to learn how to run the fucking AI. I want someone else to do it. Right? I'm glad I'm old, because I'm still having trouble. I want my flip phone back. Okay.
The good news is AI removes effort. It doesn't add effort. So it's removing effort. It's making it easier, not harder.
Where's the switch? How do you turn it on?
I'll show you.
Crap, Wiseman.
But I think two parts of that prediction. I think we're going to see AI creep into some console technology, but I also think we're going to start, and Eric won't confirm nor deny this, but I think we're going to start seeing AI at the fixture level, where fixtures take away some of the brains from the console, and that goes.
Well, that's back to the Darrellite model, distributed processing. It's a powerful model. Distributed processing.
We're going to see some AI-based distributed processing in the lights.
The part that the part I think that I'm more curious about. I have a friend who's like super computer guy, right? And we were hanging out one day, and he was telling me, "Oh yeah, I made a band." I go, "Oh, really? You're in a band now?" "Oh yeah, it was all AI generated." And he goes, "Watch, we're sitting on my boat and just floating," and he starts telling this thing. Write me a country song. I want it to kind of sound like this. And he's talking to his phone, right? And a country song with slide guitar and it's a great song. And he goes, "Yeah, that's I got to find a way to tour this." And I'm
Yeah, well, you can't. The cat's out of the bag. That's called Suno, and it's really easy.
That was
and
a
then
year
you could
ago.
You could say, tell the singer, I want the singer to have an English accent. And
Yeah.
no,
Why
I
on
want it
earth
to
would
be.
you want that?
I want the singer to be, I want the singer to be a woman instead of a man. I mean, you can just.
I want the singer to be on time.
Yeah. Or
and
off
not have a
time.
shitty
How about
ego.
make it off time? That'd be even funnier.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I love you guys to death.
Hey, we love you
Too.
too, Marcel.
Thank you.
So kind of you to do it. I'm still going to kill and fire and crush Sarah, but
No,
you know, we'll,
don't do any of
Yeah.
those things.
You know what,
We'll,
pal? You
you're not
don't
supposed
have
to
that.
trick
You don't.
me.
You don't have that in you.
No,
Yeah.
I know I don't. No, I appreciate it. The love has been felt.
Good.
So
That's the intent.
thank you guys. Happy New Year.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care,
Be well.
everybody.
Bye bye.